In this video, we'll do the division of segments and angles. And that will introduce a new term called a bisector. So, let's say we have a line segment. Now, what is a bisector? A point that divides a line segment into two congruent segments is called a bisector. So two congruent segments. Congruent segment means two segments with the same length. That means this is the midpoint of this segment. So a point that divides any segment into two congruent segments is called a bisector. So it can be a point, it can be a line, it can be a ray, or it can be a line segment. So let's say this is another segment and this line is dividing this segment into two congruent segments. Then this line is a bisector. Or in this segment, if this ray is dividing the segment into two congruent segments, then this ray is a bisector here. Or a line segment can be divided by a line segment itself into two congruent segments. So this is also a line segment. So here this line segment is a bisector. So from here we notice that a bisector can be a point, line, ray, or a line segment. But a line segment which is supposed to be divided cannot be a line or a ray, as a line or a ray both extend infinitely far. So we cannot find the midpoint of a line or a ray. So it has to be a line segment. So I'll write here a line or a ray cannot be bisected. And one more thing, in diagrams, to represent that these are two congruent segments, we use the identical marks like this. Or you can use 2 marks. Now these marks represent that length of this part and this part is same. Or you can use 3 also. Now if you use 2 marks over here, and let's say I used 3 marks over here. So this shows that length of this part and this part both are different. So we have to make identical marks. So it shows the length of both parts is same. For example, let's say we are given this segment of 5 centimeters, and let's say this line segment is divided by this ray, or I can say is bisected by this ray. Then I can use these marks like that, and then I know that length of this part is 2.5 centimeters and length of this part is also 2.5 centimeters. Now the same way angles can also be bisected. So let's say we are given this angle. This is point A, B, C. Now a ray that divides the angle into two congruent angles. So let's say this ray divides this angle into two congruent angles. Then this ray is the bisector of this angle. So to show that these angles are congruent, I use these identical marks. So here this ray is the bisector. Now let's say we are given an angle of 60 degrees. Now if a ray divides it into two equal parts, so this angle will be 30 degree and this angle will be 30 degree, and this ray is the bisector of this angle. Let's mark it D, E, F, and let's say G. So here I can write that EG, the ray EG, now this is a ray EG, is the bisector of the angle DEF. DEF.